Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2024 horror film Abigail. The film is directed by Matt Bellatini-Olfin and Tyler Gillett. And the film stars Melissa Barrera, Dan Stevens, Alicia Weir, Catherine Newton and Kevin Durand. Right, okay. The film focuses on a group of specialists, I suppose. They are brought together by a character called Lambert to pull off a kidnapping of a young girl called Abigail. And they believe by kidnapping this girl, the father will pay a handsome ransom of $50 million to get his daughter back. So they kidnap Abigail. They take her to a secure location and they are told that they're on lockdown for 24 hours. Their phones are taken and then they are told basically to stay and wait. Whilst there, they soon learn that the young girl Abigail, in actual fact, is not helpless, not defenseless, and is in actual fact a vicious vampire who starts to prey on the group that kidnapped her. Right, what are my thoughts on Abigail? Well, I've been really quite looking forward to this film. I saw the trailer for this one a few months ago and I thought it was a really effective trailer. I thought it was a really cool idea, cool concept. Sweet innocent girl getting kidnapped and then turns out to be, a predatory vampire. Very, very cool idea. And it also looked like it had a fun streak of humour in the film as well, which was perfect. And after seeing it, I have to say, I think all my expectations were absolutely met with this film. I thought it was a really, really fun watch. I thought the film, as I've said, had a really cool idea, a really cool concept, but it's also, I think, littered with quite memorable characters. The idea really is that none of them are supposed to know each other's real names, so you don't really know their backstories. But there's a clever scene in the film where the lead character, Joey, played by Melissa Barrera, she kind of has this skill where she can read people, if you like, and figure out their pasts and all that kind of stuff. And there's a cool scene where she kind of goes around the group and does that, for money. She figures out that Dan Stevens' character Frank is a former police detective. Another one of them is a former Marine. Another one is a techie girl with a rich family. Another one is muscle for the mob sort of thing. And she can kind of read them all like a book. And it's a cool scene, but it's also a way to introduce us to who these characters are, sort of thing. It was quite cleverly written, I think. And barring one or two exceptions, I kind of clicked with many of these characters. I thought they were pretty cool and memorable. And I really enjoyed Dan Stevens' performance. It's a real palate cleanser when you see him do roles like this, because when you compare him in things like Downton Abbey, for example, and the roles that he did here, and was it The Guest, that other villainous role he played, and The Apostle? I mean, he's actually a really very versatile actor, and he plays a really cool role here in the sense of he's very dislikable, but at the same time, there's a certain charm to him as well, and I think it's clever how they kind of play with you with his character in this film. He's very dislikable, but there are moments where you kind of think, oh, he's coming around, he's helping the group, all this kind of stuff, and then you get what you get later on with him, which I enjoyed that. I do feel as though Catherine Newton's character was a little bit underused, and I felt like she was only really there for one reason, and you get to see that reason later in the film. And I love Kevin Durand. I mean, generally speaking, I've always been a big fan of his work. Generally, I think he's pretty good, and he's pretty good at being like comedic as well. And there is a real healthy dose of comedy in this film. Not belly laugh comedy, but irony for the most part, and a real level of brutality as well here, and I love the way they kind of present the vampires in this film. And there's a fun scene, where the one of the characters, Catherine Newton's character, is told to go and find garlic in the kitchen, and she comes through with a bag full of onions because she doesn't know what garlic looks like, sort of thing. And then they're testing out all these theories about what can kill or hurt vampires on little Abigail, and realizing that much of them aren't worth shit, really, with that girl. And I love the fact that it kind of flips it, and the hunter become the hunted in this film. I love the way the gore is presented in the film. When a vampire is injured, sort of thing. I mean, there's just like an explosion. I love the way they do that. There's a pretty grim scene where one of the characters kind of falls into this awful room full of bodies, decapitated and bodies and stuff like that. I really, really enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I think there's a real effort here to make a memorable film. From looking at the box office of this, for me so far, it's disappointing. I really, really hope that this film does well. Not that I want a sequel or anything like that. I hope it does well, because it's an original film. It's an original idea. It's an original concept. And, knowing how people work at the cinemas in regards to their, routines and patterns, they only really want sequels, all this kind of stuff, Films like this that actually give people something a little bit different, a little bit original, they deserve to do well. And I've got my fingers crossed that this one does, because it was a really, really fun time at the cinema. But I have to say, there wasn't many in the cinema when I went to go and watch this. So for me, I tend to go to the cinema at like the similar time each time when I do go, because I've got my own routine, sort of thing, and I always know when a film's popular or going to be popular, judging by how many are in that cinema at that same time every time I go. So it doesn't really bode well for this one, but I hope it does well enough to kind of surpass its budget, because it deserves to do well. So if you're looking for a fun time, a really cool, interesting take on a vampire film, I don't think you'll be disappointed here. And I think it's also worth mentioning that Alicia Weir, who plays Abigail, does a brilliant, brilliant job here. Playing the innocent, terrified little girl to this vicious vampire that is actually quite frightening at times, I suppose, if you actually analyse, the things she says and the performances. She says things that don't belong, if you like, in a young girl's coming out of a young girl's mouth. It's quite startling, some of the things she says and threatens in this film. So, yeah, give Abigail a watch. Go and support this film. I think it deserves to do well, because it's getting good reviews. I think audiences who are going to see this are enjoying it. So go and give this one a watch, guys. I do recommend this one. This has been one of those films that when you go to the cinema, it meets your expectations and probably slightly surpassed them in my case. But I kind of knew that I was going to enjoy this film, because I enjoy vampire films overall, and it's not often you get an original vampire film. So yeah, this film is fun. It's well made. There's good performances. There's memorable characters. There's good gore, and it's a damn good fun watch as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed checking out this review. I will, of course, be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.